So 2020 saw me become a subscriber from Vinegar Syndrome for the first time. So I got every one of their releases, mostly. I was horror and exploitation, and I have my 10 favourite releases from this year. Let's just jump in. Number 10, the first 4K on this disc is Deadly Games, Dial Code Santa Claus, which was wonderful. It really kind of straddled that line between horror and a flick for kids. But I had some moments that were really exciting. I really loved the train sequence in this one. This young boy being trapped in a house, hunted by a killer, dressed as Santa Claus, was exciting, exhilarating, and offered a lot of surprises, as well as some really nice cinematography and directorial decisions as well. Number 9 on my list is the wonderful Olivia, or Prosy, as it's otherwise known, and this was a fascinating movie because it was as if it couldn't really decide what it wanted to be itself, and we had a fascinating lead performance by Suzanne Love as this character who sees her mother being killed as a prostitute, who is a little bit damaged in the later years, who meets a man, falls in love. Midway through the movie, it changes into something more Hitchcockian as this man is back in his home country. He's visiting this bridge that was very similar to London Bridge, and he spots this woman that seemingly vanished, and she pretends not to know him, and it becomes a whole different thing. I don't want to get into too much of the plot. It was exciting, it was thrilling, it had moments of horror, it leaned towards some moments of Gialli. It had all these kind of things going on, and it didn't overpower the movie. It just made it more curious and more exciting. Number 8 on my list is Deadline, one of the ones that just turned up on the doorstep and I knew nothing, and I threw it on to discover a wonderful movie about a writer who is being overpowered by thoughts of macabre nature because he writes horror movies in horror books. They kind of perpetrate every part of his life, and it's more a drama piece of this man kind of falling apart, but it's intercut with these horrific images from things that he's written being turned into movies. So it has a reason to have all these varied and different bloody sequences, but at the heart of it is a wonderful story as well. Number 7 on my list is the recent release Fade to Black, and again I knew very little about this. It's about a geek who loves movie and movie culture. It comes in predominantly to the movie. It's more about a psychological break of a character and how that leads to him doing some really horrific things to other people within the guises of film characters that he's grown up with. And I love the interspersed footage of the movies he was thinking about as he was doing his dirty deeds, and how this character just kind of broke almost. It was a fascinating performance, really exciting, really energised my love of movies as well, and was just a complete surprise. Number 6 for me was Blood Games, a real exploitation winner right from the start. A female group of baseball players are playing some hillbillies, and they beat them so badly that the hillbillies decide the best thing to do is to murder and rape and, just do hillbilly things to these group of women. And it's a chase movie. They're on the run, being hunted by these complete imbeciles that can't seem to do anything right. It's got some laugh out loud moments, some great moments of action and violence. It's super fun, it's super exploitation, and it was an utter joy. Number 5 on my list is the wonderful Forgotten Gialli Volume 1 box set, encompassing Trauma, Police Are Blundering in the Dark, and my favourite, The Killer is One of 13. These were loosely Gialli movies that I had never even heard of. Even in researching Giallis to search for, these were kind of new. And my least favourite in the box set was probably Trauma, because it leans into some familiar ground I've seen done better in other movies, and it didn't really have a major twist that I didn't see coming a mile away. But the set was fascinating. A couple of the titles were just knockouts for me that I utterly loved. packaging was terrific. The transfers, it's Vinegar Syndrome. They're amazing. What more can I say? Number 4 on my list was just the utterly delightful The Collar. I love this one. You've got Malcolm McDowell and Madeline Smith are basically the only 2 people in this. Malcolm McDowell turns up on her doorstep, her cabin in the woods. They seem to have this weird back and forth conversation that's very playful yet threatening at the same time. This thing is steeped in atmosphere and mystery and intrigue, and you just don't know what's going on between these 2 people. Who is bad? Are they both bad to a certain extent? Is one more evil than the other? Is somebody trying to harm the other? You're never quite sure, and it's down to these 2 amazing performances, a wonderful script, and some great direction that just ties this thing together. I've never seen any other movie where its first half hour was as engaging, entrancing, and just captivating as it was in this movie. I utterly loved The Collar. Number 3 on my list is The Forgotten Gialli Volume 2 set. This had 3 amazing movies, just stone cold amazing movies. Girl in Room 2A, My Dear Killer, and The French Sex Murderers, and I have loved every single movie in this set. They were a joy to watch. They offered surprises. They weren't just straight up Gialli. The Girl in Room 2A felt like a kind of Gialli cult movie. The French Sex Murderers felt like a noir Gialli, and My Dear Killer was just a more straight up kind of Gialli movie with an investigator, but a strong one. Really great performances, a really mean-spirited twist and death to this one, and a great investigation, and it just ticked all my boxes. Wonderful set. Number 2 on my list is Rad, the 4K. Oh wow, what a movie. Completely bonkers, completely silly, but just so energetic and fun with it. Send Me an Angel sequence is utterly brilliant. It's a song that had me captivated and singing it, and even though I'm saying it now, the tune is playing through my head. It is a young small town guy who loves BMX riding. There's a big event coming to his town, and they're going to allow a local participant to go in, and he could become the star of the show if the big mean bad guys don't try and stop him. It's kind of trite and tropey in the way it goes about its story, but my goodness, is it so much fun and so just engaging, energising, and it's got some real standout sequences in this one. My number 1 for the year, no brainer. As soon as it was announced, before it was even in my hands, it was going to be my favourite release from Vinegar Syndrome, and that was The Beastmaster. Don Coscarelli's 1982 classic movie. It was just wonderful to get this kind of treatment. Now, I've grown up with the movie. It's never looked better than it does on this disc. It's got all these fun facets. It's got a couple of Blu-rays with it as well, with a VFX improved version. It's got full feature-length documentaries, extras, insane packaging, but best of all, it's got the film that's had the treatment it deserved, and it still plays fantastically well. It's a sword and sandals adventure kind of movie with a little bit of a dark edge in the form of those vampiric kind of monster things that still haunt my nightmares. I had a great time with Vinegar Syndrome this year, so much so that I re-upped and got the subscription for 2021. I cannot wait, because pretty soon there is a Forgotten Gialli Volume 3 coming, as well as some other box sets this year that I'm really super excited for, and whatever other surprises they break out, I'm sure it's going to be another terrific year. What was your favourite Vinegar Syndrome release from this year? Let me know in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.